Hi, I'm Peter Russo, and I get a chance to talk with Todd Hill of Hill Electric. How you doing, Todd?
I'm doing good, Peter. How are you?
Great, great. Now, what I'd like to talk about is how long have you been doing electric work in the Valley?
Oh, personally, we're a little over 30, 35 years. I think I've been licensed with my own business about 25 years.
Wow, wow, that's a little bit of time, huh? We're not a newcomer to the Valley.
Yeah, it just shows my age.
Well, you probably have gone through lots of different phases out here. You know, people, I mean, there were a lot of old houses for a while, right? And then they built new ones, and then they got mixed, or
Well, yeah, I've kind of dealt with all of that, and it's still ongoing because the older homes are being remodeled now, which is a big part of our business. In the past, we were huge on new construction. And of course, our bread and butter is service work. And that's pretty much ongoing because everybody needs repairs and electricity does go bad periodically. And that's what we do best. I think we do troubleshooting best and repairs.
now, talk to me about troubleshooting. I mean, people just the breakers don't work all of a sudden, and then you go out to talk to them about that.
Well, yeah, exactly. I've been taught and have always believed that when something goes wrong with electricity, there's a reason why. Let's find out why it went bad and what's it going to take to correct it.
Right, right. I had an electrical problem out here, and I'm an electrical engineer, so I'm not foreign to electricity. And I hear a pop, crack, snap, and I go, "What was that?" And never heard it again. And then the next day I heard pop, pop, snap. It was underneath the sink. So I opened up underneath the sink, and the woman that had the house before had a plug strip down there. And guess what was leaking on top of the plug strip was my plumbing. But it
Water
burned.
and electricity
They
doesn't
don't
mix,
mix.
does
Yeah, they
it?
do not mix at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's those are the kinds of things. Now, you also do custom lighting, right?
Well, we do a lot of custom lighting, and especially in this day and age, we're evolving into the LED era. And seems pretty popular right now. So yeah, we're doing a lot of kitchen and bath remodels with LED lighting, huge amount of landscape lighting
Right.
with LED lighting. There's a lot of variables on the landscape lighting part of it because there's always seems to be a lot of issues with landscape lighting.
I was on the website, and I'll have some float over pictures showing those some of that landscape lighting. And I'm looking at this going, that has to be a nightmare to do. You have to dig trenches, I guess, and put in wires, and oh my gosh, that looked a lot harder than putting in an attic fan, for example. But
Well, there's a degree of difficulty with everything. Uh, Normally, while we're on the topic of landscape lighting, it starts with troubleshooting and finding out why. Um, and once you know what the cause of the problem is, it's pretty easy to correct it. As far as attic work and that sort of thing, nobody likes to do it, but we do it, and it's part of our everyday work.
well, it sure helps a homeowner a lot too to have those attic fans, right?
In the summertime, I have them at my home, and we've noticed a big difference. Attic fans really do help. They do work, and in our desert, if you don't have one, you should consider
Yeah, I don't even have an attic, so I not an option for me. Actually, I do have the fans on the top. Maybe they count for attic fans. Now,
it.
uh, fans, you do install ceiling fans as well, right?
Oh my gosh, literally, I don't want to say hundreds, but yeah, every year we probably do at least 100 without even batting an eye. Just this week, I think we've done somewhere around 10 or 12. So yeah, attic fans or excuse me, ceiling fans are a big part of our business. and it's a big part of surviving here in the desert with our summer temperatures.
Well, even the winter ones, because you reverse it and it mixes the heating, you know. So,
It's funny you say that. I mean, you are right, Peter,
yeah,
but it's funny you say that, but I would say the bulk of my customers don't consider reversing it. They're all looking for cool.
yeah. Well, when it gets so cold out here and they turn their heater on, reversing that fan, pulling that hot air down onto them is a good thing. Now, what's the biggest job you've ever had to do?
Had to do or wanted
Well,
to
wanted
do?
to do.
Yeah, well, we've done. I mean, my gosh, when I started out, we were huge in new construction, that sort of thing, and we used to do apartment complexes. I think the biggest one we ever did was like 450 units.
Wow.
When I started out, of course, you know, the economy's changed a lot, but
Sure, sure.
they used to release phases. I'll give you, for instance, out at PGA West, we used to get phases of, we'll say, 120 units. The banks were spending more money or allowing more money to be spent at that time. And these are 3 to 5,000 square foot homes that we
Hmm.
used to do. We don't do as much new construction now, as I said, but the banks are releasing phases of 10 or 12 units at a time. Uh, Quite frankly, I see a downturn on new construction from my point of view, just because of the new era, I guess would be the best way to say it.
Yeah, the we're starting to see actually new businesses coming out here to get out of LA, so there might be opportunities to do some build outs and stuff for them as well. And the smallest job you've ever done?
Oh gosh, I have been called to fix a major problem that turned out to be a simple breaker reset.
Oh, they
We
don't
always
know
get,
you have to push it all the way off to turn it
well,
back on again?
there's always a reason why there's problems. I love my customers and I value them and I want them to call me again and tell their buddies and their friends and their
Absolutely.
bridge partners. So I always give a little discount when we walk into a job like that, and I walk in and make them feel a little bit silly. But yeah, we see that periodically where they think they have a major problem, and we walk in and it's fixed within 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's one of those cases where the when the client sees how easy it was to fix it, there was really nothing broken. Maybe I don't know, but they can feel a little odd about that, I guess.
Well, yeah, but I got to tell you the truth. Generally, whether it's me answering the phone or somebody else, we usually ask them pertinent questions. Have they checked this and did they check that? And maybe the circumstances of why it went out, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
And if we can help them fix it over the phone, it's happened many, many times, and we're happy to do that.
I have the same thing in the web business. You know, they have some problem and it's easy to fix. So that's very cool. Now, um, let's just talk a little bit more about the custom lighting. Um, Landscape lighting has certainly, I imagine, got its challenges. And I think one of the greatest benefits are that people don't use the outside, and in the wintertime, it's gorgeous out here. And so by putting landscape lighting out there, you certainly do open up their lifestyle. I'm not sure how I would point that out, but I mean now they're outside using the whole yard instead of just the house.
Yeah, well, the way I've evolved with my knowledge and how I was taught, uh, I don't like the Disneyland effect. What I like to do is I like to accent the trees and the plants that they have in their yard. That's where they spend their money. They've got a lot of these places have beautiful cactus and beautiful palms and you know, huge jacarandas and that sort of thing. These are the kind of things that I like to show off. I'm not one of those guys that likes to give you the runway look or the Disneyland effect or something
Right.
like that. So yeah, I try to enhance what is already there. Generally, the people that are looking for landscape lighting want to show off their yard, you know,
Hmm.
and I think that's the best way to do it by lighting it up.
So you did. What's a typical sit-down meeting about landscape lighting? How's that go?
Oh gosh, I did already this week. I think I've done two or three. Well, I know I've done two or three. It's not a sit-down meeting, Peter. We usually walk through it, myself and the customer, and usually their spouse if they're there. I tell them my ideas. They tell me what they're looking for. Uh, there's always a focus, whether it be a security situation or is it, as I said earlier, to enhance their landscape lighting. We walk through it. I tell them my ideas. We have that conversation, and at one point or another, we kind of agree on what we're looking for. I put together a proposal for them, and I usually use line items where, in this case, I'll give them a proposal for the front yard, I'll give them a proposal for the backyard,
Hmm.
and maybe two or three other miscellaneous things that they're looking for. So if they choose to use us, uh, they can pick and choose. They can say, okay, well, we want to do the front yard, but we're going to hold off on the backyard, something like that. So I try to simplify things, but my goal is always to enhance their existing landscape.
And get them ultimately downstream what they want to really have, whether they can afford it or not.
Well, yeah, everybody has a budget,
Yeah.
myself included. I'm a
No.
consumer, and
No.
so I understand that. You know, if I call a plumber, if I give him 10 items, maybe I can't do all of them. But
Right. Right.
my thing is that I want to enhance their yard and their entertaining experience and what have you. The one I just bid yesterday, huge yard. He just bought the house. It's still in escrow, actually, but he's got two different scenarios. He's got a backyard that's huge and small plants. And so what we decided to do there was, of course, I like to use the LED, but we're going to use well lights where he will not see the source of light. He's only going to see the effect. Excuse me.
Hmm.
But because he's got such small plants, I couldn't really light things up like I
Right.
wanted to.
Right.
Uh, the house had just been remodeled and they redid the backyard and the pool area and that sort of thing. Now in the front yard, he had some mature plants and that sort of thing, and I came up with some really nice ideas there. And he liked my ideas. I submitted the proposal and have yet to hear back from him, but it was really I think it was fulfilling for him. He hasn't even closed escrow yet, but he's got the visions
Right.
that
Well, that's good. I
he
mean,
and I are looking for. Yeah.
that's awesome. Let's go back over to custom lighting for a second. This is more indoor, I think, right? Your recessed lighting, pennant lights, LEDs, things like that. I
Exactly. Yes.
okay, one of the things I saw in our gallery, which I'll float that picture over when I produce this, um, there was at the baseboard in the kitchen. It looked like blue or purple light. It was gorgeous. So talk to me about what you can do to really pump up the inside of a house.
Oh my gosh. It's really cool stuff. Yeah, we just did a home that may be the one that you're referring to. Um, she went with LED under cabinet lights. Of course, the whole house had LED recess lighting and everything throughout. But I was impressed with her as a homeowner with her designer capabilities,
Hmm.
and so we prepared for a lot of possibilities and that in the future and that sort of thing. And so what you're seeing, if it's the one I'm thinking about, it's at the toe kick, and we even did it
Right.
over the cabinets as well. It's an LED light that can actually be set up where um, there's a rotator on there that'll change it from blue to green to yellow to red, which is not really my thing. But you can also set it for
Hmm.
blue.
Hmm.
She for some reason chose blue, and you can set it so that when you turn it on, it only shows the blue light. It's not going to show the other colors and that sort of thing.
Right.
We went with a warm white light on the top of her cabinets, which I was really happy with.
Hmm.
And as I say, her under cabinet lights were all dimmable LEDs. her overhead throughout the house were LED, and it really shows nicely. In fact, she just put on a trellis on her backyard, or a patio covering, I guess would be the proper word for it. And we put in a couple ceiling fans for her, and some lighting for her barbecue, which seems to be that most folks, we don't, myself included, we don't think about lighting for barbecues until we're out there burning our first steak and we say, oh my gosh, I can't see, you know. So,
Hmm.
so we did that for her, and I'm sure I'm going to see her again, but I think we kind of finished it off with that back patio, ceiling fans and the barbecue lighting.
Yeah, that's awesome. I imagine the places that come out and they put in great barbecues, but they don't do lighting, because you see them everywhere, you know.
And it seems like we always barbecue at night, huh?
Typically, yes, absolutely. And I guess if you can't see it's all burned, and if you eat in the dark, it may not be so bad. Who knows? But
Mhm.
well, all
Yeah.
right. Well, Todd, thanks so much for spending some time with me and talking about your business. And
Thanks, Peter.
all right, well, we'll have a good time here, I'm sure. Hang on.